Welcome back, everybody, to another video. Before we get to the good stuff, we got to get to the boring stuff, just so that you guys can have an understanding of some of these belief systems and all these religions. In this series, we're going to go through some of the basic belief principles of individual religions. Then at the end, I'm going to have a little conclusion of the comparison of these types of belief systems. But even though it's a conclusion of these religions, doesn't mean that I am done adding more different religions that I have not yet. Also, I will dive a little deeper in Christian scriptures simply because it's still a pretty dominant religion. Then finally, I'm going to share another type of perspective and viewing our reality through these types of belief systems, such as, is there a better method or approach in spirituality? And is all these types of religions actually holding us back instead of adding to our spiritual growth, and so on? Ultimately, before I can give my input or insights, we must have to bear with trying to get a glimpse of some of these main religions. Religion, part 1, Hinduism, is one of the oldest, most influential, and the most spiritualistic religion to date. The goal of Hinduism is its search for the ultimate reality from within and not sought outwardly. Animism, spiritism, polytheism are the main beliefs of Hinduism. Animism is the belief of supernatural powers that organizes and animates the material universe. Polytheism is the belief or worship of more than one god. Spiritism is the belief that the spirits of the dead communicate with the living through a person or medium. Since there are many gods for every aspect of life, one can call upon these specialized gods for help. Sometimes the gods appear as enemies or as companions. The supreme deity incarnating many different gods is recognized as Vishnu. The transmigration of souls and reincarnations in other bodies also applies to mankind. Since Vishnu is considered the supreme god of any influential figure that arises or arose in history, naturally will be interpreted as another expression of the god Vishnu. So when Buddha spread far and wide, it's just another avatar of Vishnu. Vishnu devours various gods within his being through his incarnations as all of these gods, and yes, that includes the Buddha and Christ. Hindu has no problem with Christians because they believe divinity is an all-inclusive, unlimited manifestations, but Christians have quarrels with the Hindus because they believe Christ is the only Son of God and anything else are really just demons and should be condemned. Another supreme deity for other Hindus is Shiva, which has his own history along with many incarnations. Shiva is the god of the masses, the fallen, the depressed, the serpents, the tigers, the god of terrible, the loathsome, the beasts, the birds, and god of love and mercy. The worship of Shiva is not demanding and does not require any ritual or offerings. If having two supreme deities is not complex enough, you guys, I have to mention one more supreme deity, and they call him Brahma. Together, these three deities in minds of some as a trinity of gods, but soon these three forms merge into what they call Trimurti, which is the faces of the supreme deity. These three in one can still be referred to as Shiva or Vishnu, depending on what region you're from in India. They are thought of being a single being with three types of functions: creating, preserving, and destroying. Brahma, the role of creator; Vishnu, the role of preserver; Shiva, the role of destroying and existence. Destroying existence, sorry guys. Hindu religious philosophies and practices went from being public ritualistic acts to a more private self intuition of ultimate realities and bliss. The transformation of one's attention was transferred from looking outward towards eternal, external gods to looking inwards towards a more peaceful unity through meditations. There are four stages of life in Hinduism. The first one, when one learns to live, study, and serve during his childhood. The second one, when one experiences marriage, have children during adulthood, performs his duties to the utmost of his ability for his family's growth and well-being. The third one is the period of retirement from family duties so that one is able to meditate and study. The fourth one is the final period of meditations and attainment of the highest goal of life, together with approaching death. I would also like to mention that in the Hindu Bible, if you guys are interested, the Hindu Bible has a vast array of literatures. And the word Krishna is regarded as an avatar of Vishnu. The knowledge leads to freedom, because knowledge leads to freedom from delusion and acceptance of one's own ultimate reality as being eternal, unchanging, permanent, about one's own self and soul. Why does delusion even happen? And why do our bodies seem so real? And another question is, why is the person possessing the bodies are so in love with their unique shapes? In Hinduism, they explain this. So, long story short, the way they explain all these illusions is simply caused by what they call the three gunas. Progress towards the goal of life through good deeds, it's the easiest way to apprehend in Hinduism. What they call karma yoga, it involves living countless lives, which is the law of karma. And this principle is basically that for every action there exists an equal and opposite reaction which permeates all activities. Every good deed or intentions is rewarded sooner or later. Each evil deed or intentions will all be stored for a future of bad karmas due to be experienced, whether in this life or the next. The full-time yogins concentrates on attaining nirvana in this present life instead of going through countless future lives. That is just a better method. Another practice in Hinduism is called Bhakti Yoga, which is a worship involving the will to surrender the self and its interest to the interest of a God whose value is regarded as the greatest. Selfless devotion is the key to worshiping Krishna because he has many identities. There will be no mistaking him. Before we finish up, I gotta quickly mention in Hinduism there are four main concepts. And another name for these are yogas. And they are devotion, action, meditation, and knowledge. Gonna briefly go quickly here and so we can finish up on these four concepts. Number one, selfish devotion to a deity, to duty, to study, or to meditation yields to knowledge that what is, and that selfish desires to distort what is info, what is not, continues to be self-defeating. Number two concept, acting or intending to attain knowledge, to diminish mental activities through meditations, and to diminish selfishness through devotions, all are ways of acting and yielding karmas. Number three concept, meditating not only presupposes finishing one's other duties, devotions, and quests for knowledge, but one who worships with selflessness. And the fourth concept, knowledge that is not knowledge, action that is inaction, meditation upon meditationlessness, and devotions to devotionlessness. Basically, these four ways are just different ways of saying yes. Because ultimately, the more one says yes, the less he suffers and the happier he becomes. So that's just a brief understanding and concepts and summarizing in Hinduism so that we can get a little glimpse of their belief systems, just so that we have something that we can compare to in the future videos of religion. And like I said, when we understand some of these religions, then we can elaborate, then I can elaborate more on top of what we are learning. And plus, you know, has all these religions, is it possible they have been hijacked? Or is it possible that the messages in here are a way of or type of slavery? I'm not saying it is, but we're just gonna use logic and reasoning as we go through all these. So, to be continued. And thanks for bearing with me. And thanks for tuning in. Until next time, Hooded Dragons out.